What's up, everyone? This is episode 4 of Let's Take a Dive. This is Saturday, February 4th. I am very late on this because I'll be doing another one tomorrow after the Super Bowl to discuss things that happened then. My week's been crazy busy, so I apologize that I haven't gotten this out sooner. I'm going to start actually with NBA stuff though, and I will finish the episode with all NFL and Super Bowl related matters. So as far as the NBA goes, the All-Star votes came out, and if you're not aware of the way that the All-Star voting works now, it is the fans get 50% of the vote, the media gets 25%, and the players get 25%, players and coaches. So the fans also break any ties. So, for instance, there was the biggest one that was talked about was that the fans voted Steph Curry the number one point guard, but the player and media voted Russell Westbrook the number one point guard. So because it was tied 50% to 50%, the fan vote breaks the tie. So Curry got the nod as the starting point guard for the Western Conference, which I love Curry. Actually, I was wearing my Curry shirt earlier today, but this year Russell Westbrook should have got that starting position. He's killing it right now. I don't really like him, but I don't like kind of his attitude and stuff. But he's definitely putting up numbers that are worthy of All-Star starter not position or whatever. So that's kind of a weird little situation there, and it's been kind of the talk of all last week when they first came out. And then a couple days later, the reserves came out on the All-Star game. Now, first off, I don't like the way they do the All-Star positions. They just have front court and back court, and it's kind of like whoever gets votes gets in, and they don't even out the front court and the back court. I honestly think they should go position by position anyways. There should be one actual point guard starting at point guard, one actual shooting guard starting at shooting guard, so on and so forth. So, like, technically, if James Harden got put on the Western Conference starters as a shooting guard, that's fine because he plays shooting guard for his team. You could argue that Russell Westbrook should have gotten put on over James Harden, so Curry stays as the point guard, Russell Westbrook gets the shooting guard, but I wouldn't have liked that because Russell Westbrook isn't a shooting guard, he's a point guard for his team. So I like the fact that they didn't go ahead and do that, but they do things like that anyways because they got like bigger men playing small forward because they didn't have enough guards voted and things like that. It just drives me nuts. I don't get why they do it the way they do it. They should go position by position, and that's the way it should be. The Eastern reserves were Kyle Lowry, Kemba Walker, John Wall, Kevin Love, Paul Millsap, and Paul George. I'm fine with most of those. Kemba and Wall were kind of on the Kemba, Wall, and Millsap were all kind of on the gray area that they could have not made it or made it. But I had some issues with the people that they made it over, I guess, would be my issue. I really think that Joel Embiid should have made it. He's just more of a flashy player and a more popular player, and so by the way that the All-Star works and is voted for, that's who I think Embiid should have taken Millsap's spots. His Millsap stats aren't that great. Embiid pretty much matches him in all statistical categories, except Joel Embiid shoots 3-pointers at a higher rate than Millsap does. So I really think that Joel Embiid should have made it over Millsap. It would have been more exciting, and Millsap's just not flashy or anything like that that you'd want to really see in an All Star game. I also think that Kristaps Porzingis should have made it over one of the guards, either Kimba or Wall. In my opinion, would be probably Kimba. Uh, the Eastern Conference reserves are four guards, one shooting guard, small forward, and then two bigs. And so take one of the guards out, put another big in, even it out a little bit. It drives me nuts that they don't even it out. There's just a alarming amount of one position and then a scarce amount of another. It just seems completely stupid. As far as the Western Conference reserves go, it was DeMarcus Cousins, Mark Gasol, Draymond Green, Gordon Hayward, DeAndre Jordan, Klay Thompson, and Russell Westbrook. Obviously, Russell Westbrook should be there. Draymond Green should probably be there as well. He's been playing solid this year. And then DeMarcus Cousins should be there. I have no issue with Mark Gasol being there, but I could see him not. He was kind of a brink player in my opinion. Gordon Hayward's been tearing it up and carrying his team, so I'm fine seeing him there. Klay Thompson, I don't think has really put up great numbers this year to be an All Star, but he is kind of popular because he's on that team and stuff, so I can see him being there. But as far as the snubs go, I really think that Chris Paul, even being injured for a lot of the year, got snubbed. Damian Lillard definitely got snubbed. And then I think Karl Anthony Towns actually probably should have made it. So if it was my opinion, I would trade out Damian Lillard for Klay Thompson, again, to even out the ratio a little bit because there's only one point guard reserve, and so Lillard could be a second point guard reserve for that spot. And then Karl Anthony Towns over DeAndre Jordan, in my opinion. I don't think DeAndre Jordan really did much to get to the All Star game. He's really just a body underneath the hoop, does a lot of dunks, gets a lot of rebounds, blocks some shots. Like, Karl Anthony Towns actually does a lot more for his team. And again, he's a younger player, he's a lot more flashy. It'd be better to see in an All Star game. Chris Paul over Marc Gasol, I wouldn't be too upset seeing that switched out. Although the point guard position would be getting a little bit full then. So either way, I kind of just wish there was another like shooting guard, small forward that they can plug in there. But I did some research and it didn't look like there was really any off the top of my head that I could see as a solid substitute for that. So. NBA All Stars coming up in a month and a half or so. It'd be interesting to see. Doubt we'll get a dunk competition the way that we saw one last year. That dunk competition is probably the best one we've seen yet. And as far as the NBA All Stars starting lineups, they all seem pretty legit. Besides the whole Russell Westbrook over Steph Curry thing, so. NBA All-Star game, look out for it. Alright, now on to the Atlanta Falcons versus the New England Patriots Super Bowl that will be on tomorrow. My biggest issue after listening to sports media this week and stuff is it's been a conversation that's been said by a few people, argued by some in both directions, but people talk about the Patriots' road to get to the Super Bowl. And it was substantially easier than the Atlanta Falcons road. And I'd have to agree with that because after looking into some stats and stuff like that, you can clearly see that Atlanta played way better teams than the New England Patriots did. This is just a list of the quarterbacks that New England faced this year. Russell Wilson, which they lost, Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, Tyrod Taylor, Matt Moore, Cody Kessler, Ryan Fitzpatrick twice, Trevor Siemian, Colin Kaepernick, who actually was playing pretty decent during that time, just to counter-argue, but the 49ers are a really bad team in general, so nothing really around him. They also played against Jared Goff. They played the Steelers when Landry Jones was their quarterback while Roethlisberger was hurt. And they played against Brock Osweiler. So, as you can see, the New England Patriots didn't play anyone for quarterback. So, if you want to talk about, some people are saying how this Patriots defense is like so good and all that stuff, but you can clearly see by those quarterbacks that they didn't play anyone special. So, of course, their defense should look good on paper. I actually dug into what running backs they have faced as well, because some people might argue, well, it's not all just one quarterback. Well, here's the running backs that the New England Patriots have faced this year: Isaiah Crowell, the Bengals duo, whichever one you want to say is good, Le'Veon Bell twice. They played him during the regular season and during the postseason. In the postseason, he got hurt in the first quarter. And then in the regular season, they obviously beat them with Le'Veon Bell, so that's a good running back to go against. But LaShawn McCoy was hurt when they played the Bills, so they went against Mike Gillislee twice. When they lost against the Seahawks, it was C.J. Precise instead of Thomas Rawls. And they played against Carlos Hyde, Bilal Powell twice, Todd Gurley, who was lackluster this year, even though he came on strong last year, Kenneth Dixon for the Ravens, Justin Forsett for the Broncos. The Broncos didn't even have him signed at the beginning of the season, so he was just kind of a fill-in. And they played Jay Ajayi twice, the first being the loss that they had when Brady wasn't playing, and the second being towards the end of the season there. Jay Ajayi is a pretty solid running back, so I'm fine with that one. And then they played David Johnson at the first game of the season, which is a solid running back. And they played Lamar Miller. So even their running backs aren't that great. Their quarterbacks were horrible. Their running backs weren't that great. And overall, the New England Patriots only played 3 teams this entire year that were in the top 15 in offense. They're like the Cleveland Cavaliers of the NFL. They play literally. They have no competition up until the Super Bowl. That's their only competition. You could argue that the Steelers should have been competition for them in the playoffs, but didn't come through. Or if the Raiders wouldn't have lost Derek Carr if they would have had some competition there, or if the Chiefs would have beat the Steelers to go to play them, how that game would go. But regardless of the way you look at it, the Patriots have played nobody to get to where they're at right now. Just their defense stats are flawed. Their offense stats are flawed. Like their defense that they played against weren't even that great for the most part, outside of the Seahawks where they lost and the Texans and the Broncos. Like, they just played horrible teams all year long, and it just looks like they're a good team because they stomped just about every team they played. On the other side of this, though, you got Atlanta, who had to play the Saints twice. So Drew Brees, the leading quarterback in the league this year as far as yardage goes. They had to play Oakland when Derek Carr was still healthy. They had to play Green Bay once during the regular season and once in the playoffs. They had to play San Diego, who was actually a pretty solid offense, even though their team as a whole isn't that great. They had to play Arizona, who I believe was ranked 8th in offense. They had to play Tampa Bay twice and Carolina twice, which aren't crazy good offenses, but they're also decent offenses, and their divisional games, so it makes it a little bit tougher. And then they had to play Seattle once in the regular season and once in the playoffs, which are kind of hot and cold as well. But they've obviously played better teams. And then overall, Atlanta has played 7 of their 16 games against top 15 offenses. So New England's only played 3 top 15 offenses. Atlanta's played 7. So if you want to talk about defense, then Atlanta wins that category as well. Now if you want to talk about offense, Matt Ryan is better than Tom Brady in every statistical category except for interceptions, which even that category, Tom Brady has 4 less games too. I believe he still has less interceptions per game than Matt Ryan. But again, Matt Ryan has played better teams with better offenses, teams that kept games close and things like that. Brady never had to do any of this. Brady can play super safe the whole game, just dump it under all game long. So New England was ranked 8th this year in total defense, and the Falcons were ranked 25th. But again, the Falcons played a lot better teams. So this talk about how the Patriots defense is just as good as some of these other defenses that have won the Super Bowls in the past. It's just complete horse crap. Like it's a flawed statistic overall. It's just null and void. Just don't even think about that. Um, so the Patriots are coming into this Super Bowl as a 3-point favorite, and they have the over under at 58 points combined between the two teams. It actually was a little higher than that at the beginning when they first found out who the two teams were going to be, but it looks like they dropped it a little bit. It was actually a record for the highest over under that they've seen in a Super Bowl, and I think they've dropped it a little bit. I still think it's going to be a shootout, and I think the Falcons win 38-35. But it's slated to be a good game. News just came out today that Matt Ryan got voted for MVP on the season. He came out of nowhere. I remember just a few weeks ago, probably like four weeks ago. It was going to be between Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, or Ezekiel Elliott. Those are the four players. Those were the only four players that were even being mentioned for MVP, and then Matt Ryan comes out of nowhere and just steals it, which I'm fine with it. He's had a career year. He's had the only quarterback that really put up, I guess you can call it, better numbers than him is Drew Brees, but Drew Brees didn't lead his team to a bunch of wins. Matt Ryan did. Drew Brees also throws a lot more interceptions as well. So I think it's very deserving of Matt Ryan to win that award, and I'm happy for him, and I am looking forward to seeing this game, and maybe the Falcons can bring home their first Super Bowl. The Hall of Fame voting kind of was briefly discussed today as well. It looks like Terrell Davis, Kurt Warner, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Jerry Jones are leading the pack. There'll probably be like two more in there that end up getting in, some old linemen or something like that aren't as big of names as those, but those are the top names that have been shown. It looks like Terrell Owens gets snubbed again. They're looking into this off the field crap way too much when it comes to Hall of Fame votes. I felt the same way about Pete Rose in the MLB Hall of Fame. Yeah, he might have done something frowned upon by the league or whatever at the time, but you can't argue stats. You can't argue what you see. Like, Terrell Owens is the second leading receiver in the history of the NFL. Only Jerry Rice has more receiving yards than him. And he's sitting here getting judged by how much he talked on the field and how many end zone dances he did and what he did off the field and just stupid stuff like that. It's just ridiculous that these voters that do this actually look into this other stuff that has nothing to do with their athletic ability and their Hall of Fame stats and prerequisites. Like, Terrell Owens should be in the Hall of Fame regardless. Now, I apologize again for the structure of this episode. It has been, like I said before, it's been a busy week, and I usually am a little bit more structured in the way I order things, go in order with things and things like that. So I apologize for that, and I will be doing another episode later tomorrow after the Super Bowl ended to discuss what happened in the Super Bowl and some other things. So look forward to that, and I will catch you guys next week. Thank you for watching.